Greetings, this is Coyote. I recently did another 7-day sequester. I've done 5 dark retreats previous in total darkness in a single room with just a bed and a desk and water. And they were very life-changing. I learned a lot in doing these retreats, facing thresholds and identifying them, and then going through that door and crossing that threshold during the next one to see what's next. I've been studying this and wanting to find out what's the parameters and what's beyond the amount of time or experience that I had in the previous one, just to learn more. And it's been interesting. So this recent retreat that I did here in my cabin. I covered the windows with black plastic and to knock out the light, but couldn't knock out all the light. I had the illumination of maybe less than a candle worth of light coming in. And so I modified it in that sense. So I came in and started off in bed and sleeping, which just allows me to settle in and quiet myself as I proceed to have the experience of a retreat. So I modified it in that, and I discovered that there was just enough light leaking in to prevent me from going into the full dream time or dark retreat mode with the visual aspects. Because that little bit of light kept my brain and body in that day-night cycle that we experience every day and every night. And so though I didn't have a full-on dark retreat experience, I did have an amazing rest, which I was desiring just because I've been so busy and doing this and doing that and helping out. I just needed to take the time to be quiet, be alone, and just rest. Most of the time when I do a retreat, I like to do it while fasting. It's not necessary. You have to determine what your health needs are and take precaution with when you're fasting. Consult people you trust, your doctor or a dietitian, so you don't harm yourself, or especially if you're diabetic, you just need to understand what happens or shouldn't happen if you were to fast for a long time, such as 7 days. So do your homework and get the best advice you can to decide if you can fast or should fast. If you want to eat during a retreat, there's a setup where you can have a double door, a port where someone could bring food, open one side, put the food in, close it, and then you can pull it from the other side. It might require some creative carpentry or fixing up a large box to prevent light from coming into the retreat space. There's a couple of videos online about retreat locations that have these little double door where they pass in food so they can bring meals to the participant without interacting with them. So that's a possibility. I don't do that because I want to be left alone as much as possible and not have interference from somebody, which would give me a clue to if it was daytime or nighttime. And I'm still wondering how determining that affects the retreat. I have noticed that I'm listening to the sounds from outside. Are the birds chirping? Is the wind blowing? What's what's happening. But because there's lots of mind games that a person plays when they're silent and alone in the dark. That is a big challenge. So you have to face these challenges and push through and just to see what you can handle. But as you're facing these challenges alone, and realize that the door is never locked. I mentioned this before, that anytime you get to a point where you think, no, this is enough. I can't do this anymore. You can either say, that was it, that was enough, I'll try better next time, or you can acknowledge this struggle and push beyond it. Just keep going. You're in control. You're in charge of these decisions. And so it's just the mental games we play with ourselves when you want to work harder. If you're a marathoner and you're at 20 miles and you're, I can't do it. You just got a little bit more. Just keep picking them up and putting them down and get to that finish line. There's ways to push beyond our thoughts and emotions. It's good to challenge oneself and do more than you think you can. So there's other challenges when I did it in this space, is going up and down these steps in the dark. I had to be very mindful and keep handhold on the rail, make sure that I was at the top up here on the platform, or actually all the way on the floor before I stepped away from the steps so I wouldn't fall. And I went up and down several times because my bed is up here. And then when I'm moving around to get water over here on my counter, I would lose track of where I was in this space and almost bang my head right up here on these steps. So that's what I found out. It's safer and more comfortable to be in a single level room with a bed and a table with a notepad so you can jot down notes. If you've never written in the dark before, it's interesting because you feel like you're writing proper, and then you go to read it when you're back in the light. You go, what did I say? But what I learned is keep my thumb at the edge of the paper and make sure the paper is lined up, and print so I can cross T's and dot I's, and then move my thumb down a space and then write from there, and write slowly and consciously to get your thoughts out. If I write too fast, then I can't read it. So it's good to take notes to look at when you're finished, because it's hard to remember after several days the feelings and things that you've been through. So that's where taking notes is beneficial. It's all a pretty good time. It's the big thing I hear from people is, no, I couldn't do nothing in the dark for a week. But there are a few people who would jump at the opportunity. I have 2 clients so far, and I've known of 2 other people that have done retreats to varying degrees of success. And one thing I noticed, that it's doing it in the fall or late winter when things are quieter. For me, anyway, summertime is really busy for me, and there's lots of outside activity. It's the winter time, especially in some cultures, which they call the dream time, which is beneficial for taking time away in solitude to contemplate. So some of the lessons I learned is do a retreat in a single room that's comfortable and safe, where no light comes in at all. Make sure you set it up and then test it a couple days in advance so you can just spend time in there, let your eyes adjust, and then you'll be able to see light leaks and then fix them. Have a person come get you or monitor what you're doing. If you have a way to put notes outside the space to let people know what's going on, and so they can check on you without too much interaction. And with a little creativity, you can make a food port for someone to bring food every once in a while. You can determine how often you might want to eat, once a day, twice a day. It's up to you. You're completely in charge. So look into dark retreats, or if you just want a nice rest, do a Twilight Retreat and just kick back and allow your body to heal and rest and have a wonderful experience with it all. So this is Coyote, studying what happens in the dark, enjoying life. Take care.